All right, hello everyone, back for another stream here. And you can see this is right where we left off last time, coming off the tournament here. I'm going to try to put together some chess here from a home screen. Maybe get myself to a fresh pin chess here. And mainly going to keep plugging away here. You can see we are in the midst of Tour 7. And what I'd like to do, for the most part, is try to get away with as little of a club as possible. So if a hole, it's really going to be wind specific based off of what I do. I do think that I can get away with a little bit smaller ball here and just go for kind of a layup shot here. And I'm thinking something along the lines of my typical bag here is bag 3. And all I'm going to do is try to put it right here for a nice clean view at the hole. And right around 7-ish rings with some curl. You can see just bending it into this fairway and getting a nice clean look here. That's all that I'm worried about doing. Let me just put this material cue grid on. Opponent here, you can see, looks like they're going to do a hop shot here. What I see happening when you get it over there is you kind of give yourself kind of a limited angle. It doesn't end up being really all that favorable getting over onto that side, so I really don't worry about it for the most part on this hole. What I'm going to try to do is play close to my max number here and try to play just a little bit of wind effect, as you can see. And we'll be pretty close to max, which is about 1.7-ish per ring. So I'm definitely thinking of going almost 4. A little bit of an overplay here. So we do have an angled wind. Called a perfect ball. And let's just see how this rolls out. This fairway is all over the place, so it's not the easiest shot. I was very close. I was very close to being able to hold that out. So you can see just slipping out. Would have been nice to get that one. Nice momentum, starting off with the first hole, getting a hole out. But at the very least, I would imagine, for the most part, probably getting to the shootout. This is a very tough angle to come at with the pin. And you can see my opponent just basically cranking up the backspin. Not much real choice. You kind of have to do that to stop the ball coming in at this angle. But it's really tough to make when you don't give it any rollout. So you can see that the ball just kind of stops. You have to almost land it right on the hole. It's a little bit tougher to make those. But here you can see we're going to go to the shootout. So we'll just try the best that we can to kind of take care of business. Ideally, it would have been nice to make that shot and avoid the shootout. Guarantee yourself a win is always best. And you can see, even laying up, how manageable that can be for this hole. Gives you a good look. So, tricky hole here. Not my favorite. Not my favorite. What I typically do is full backspin and try to land on the green. It'll typically be just a little bit more of a stop shot here. So you can see with what I'm doing with the ball guide, just putting it a little bit short And, you know, just a little bit of an overplay here. I'm going to go almost 2 full rings. Got my perfect. So perfect ball is going to be nice for this hole. And you can see it just comes up just a tiny bit short. Would have liked to have got it just a little bit tighter. You can see almost 2 rings there. Looks pretty good. I just had the ball guide just a little bit short. But all in all, not a terrible shot. Especially you can see opponent here with a big dog. You know, the only real way of putting this one close with big dog would be probably perfect ball. You know, you're not going to have a lot of room for error there with this club. Let's see if I can pick up a win here. Start off on the right foot, but we'll have to just see because especially with a small wind, it's tough to beat your opponent with small winds. But it looks like we are going to just hang on. Landing on the green does usually provide just a little bit more consistency. So it is what you want to ideally have happen. The fairway kind of slopes a little bit, so it's tougher to, you know, get the ball going exactly where you want it, landing off that fairway. So that's one of the main reasons that I do like Guardian for there. I should have just been just a little bit more aggressive with my ball guide on the initial setup there. But all in all, not a terrible shot. And just something, you know, you're just going to have to really hone in on those perfects for sure. And, you know, anytime you get a low wind like that, you just got to focus on trying to get it in there close. So typically I'll try to do kind of the same MO on a hole like this. So, you know, on the last hole I went QB. On this one I'm going to also go QB. I don't try to do too much. The only thing you don't want to do on this hole is put it in the rough. So, not sure what my opponent's working through over there. So you can see the opponent is going for overpower. Looks like great ball probably actually help him. It seemed he was getting a little aggressive on that left-hand side, but that looks good, especially with the great ball. So what I'll do is I'll just put it straight out there. You know, no real need to bend it on this hole. So I'll typically just kind of go straight up here. I may be able to go just a little bit into power, but I'd really like to focus on just a little bit of precision as well. So, you know, power isn't necessarily the most important thing here. It's mainly just kind of keeping it in play more than anything. So I do like to get it about 310-ish. So let's see, yeah, so, you know, as long as I get it somewhere out there, you can see right around 320, it's going to be more than enough to get to the hole. You'll also see that I use a lot of navigators. I do like to have just a little bit, you know, a lot of the opponents might play quasars, and, you know, all that little difference, that extra 10%, you know, getting that wind just a little bit smaller can make you kind of fractions of yards closer, because of the wind effect may just be just a little bit less. And I find that, you know, inching in there, because you'll see, you know, a lot of matches you may only win by half a yard. So it is nice to have that little bit of extra wind resistance, especially come shootout time. But also for holding out like here too. So this is going to be a tricky one here. I'm going to try to land maybe right around here. Typically I might use around 3 or 4 backspin. Just try to gently roll it down this hill. I'm going to try to play some wind effect here. So you can see that's what I'm doing there. Max is going to be pretty close to 6 rings here or so. So just a little bit light of 6 rings is what I'm going to go. Let's just see how this comes in. Does look pretty good, just a little bit off. You know, maybe not enough wind effect, more so than anything. It's very tough, but you know, another thing, that fairway is all over the place. It's very hard to land that on the fairway, especially in crosswinds. It's going to make holing out very, very challenging thing to do. All right, so let's see what we get for a shootout here. Be interesting to see. More Santa Ventura. Having the Power 1 option is typically good. I do like to go straight at it here. And having the 1 power ball does really kind of make it just a little bit easier to do that. So what I'll typically do, maybe about 3 backspin here. So you can see with how I'm trying to roll this up and what I'm doing with my ball guide. Typically play maybe about 1 ring here. Yeah, great ball isn't necessarily as costly on this. Let's just see if it is here. As you can see, it does shoot over to the left just a little bit too much. A lot of times when you great ball that, it has a tendency to kind of bounce off the hill and just kind of kick a little bit more towards the hole anyway. But that's not really a great shot. I may end up losing this shootout because of that. It was not a very good attempt there. But another thing that can happen is, you know, especially if the opponent doesn't really know what they're doing, they can actually roll through. But it looks like that is enough backspin. It may actually be too much. You do have to worry about taking off too much sometimes as well. So this looks like, you know, we'll have to just see. Another great ball. You can see it's not really rolling out, so a little bit short. He pulled, you know, just a little bit back too much. And definitely fortunate to pull that one out at 3.5 yards. Small wind. It would have been very easy for me to lose that one. So I did get a little bit lucky there. With that small of a wind, you do want to try to keep them just a little bit closer. But at the same time, you know, this is another reason that you want to play the tours in order. You can see with where I'm down at a trophy count. You know, if guys, especially if they've been playing a lot of matches, are in that trophy range, it means that they just kind of, you know, haven't fundamentally learned the game enough. So it's, you know, it's definitely good to have these videos, or, you know, definitely working on your progress. And, you know, that's the biggest way to improve. You know, the closer that we get up to 2,000, you know, your opponents are going to get much better. All right, so typically what I'll do here is maybe about 2 on the top spin, never any more. I'll typically pretty much go full curl here. I'm going to try to land relatively centered and most of my power. May just take off a little bit just for precision purposes. I really didn't need it. You could see that, you know, I still landed well into the fairway. And all I really need to do is put this thing in play. So anytime that I can use a quarterback, I'm just going to do it. I mean, there's no reason to use the extra mile unless it's absolutely necessary. So this is something to be thinking about for Tour 7, Tour 8, Tour 9, Tour 10. This is something that you're going to see me do pretty regularly. I'm going to, you know, this is going to be my primary bag, and I'm only going to kind of deviate from that if I feel threatened, like I'm not going to get to the hole or something. You can see that kind of took a lucky break there, my opponent. You know, it just kind of you know, it could have rolled through just as easily as it stopped there. So you can see we're right around mid club here. Maybe try it. This is a very tough, ever since they redesigned this course, this hole has got definitely tougher here to make. Play right around 2 on the backspin here. My max number here, 2.3 per ring. Just a little bit more than 2 rings. Oh, wow. So late on the timing, it's definitely going to shoot off to the left. Really great opportunity there. You don't want to miss, especially when you have such a straight wind. You know, there's a very good chance that my opponent could make this one. So it is something that, you know, ideally you'd like to get to roll in. I am fortunate. It looks like opponent here has kind of a weaker club that they're using. Definitely tough to hold out with Apache. But we'll see. So just through the hole. The limited ball guide on that one makes it just a little bit tough. Really would have been nice for me to be able to get my perfect there. I think there's a really good chance that I was going to make that. I feel like with perfect ball, that's pretty much an 80% chance that that one's going to go down. I just haven't been very sharp this morning for some reason. Missed a couple perfect balls. Last shootout and plus that one. Those are things that could have cost me the match. Best to just try to recover and try to pull this one out. What I'll typically use is maybe about a half a bar backspin on this. So that's more or less what I'm going to do. I do typically use pretty close to the max ring adjustment. With the side wind, I may be pulling down to kind of lower ground, so I may underpull my ring just slightly in this case, because I'm going to be moving down close to the water, which is going to cause it to kind of come in at just a little bit lower trajectory because of the way the physics work in this game. It didn't look like my opponent touched his spin. So he may have, you know, just left it be, which typically makes it kind of run through just a little bit. Very good chance for me to be able to win this one. You know, 5.5 yards isn't necessarily what you're trying to do here. So as I mentioned, you know, right around maybe half a bar backspin. You see with where I am. These 3 rings here. Wow, you're so distracting. So there you can see it comes in. Really good opportunity there to take that game. 5 yards, not really, you know, I could have great balled that either way. Oh, looks like I ran out of my balls here. Just gonna go ahead and do that. I am probably going to, yeah, I'll play probably 5 more matches, or at least, you know, in the event that I do lose one outright, I'll have to play an extra hole. But I'd like to at least get that pin chest unlocked, and I'm also going to, along the way, just bulk open some chests. As you can see, you know, as I mentioned, this is an entirely free-to-play account. So with that being said, with it being free to play, not spending any money, you'll see that, for the most part, I have a tournament week where I, try to gem all the chests, but then for the most of the part, the following week, you can see I'm going to play very few matches. And, for the most part, just kind of sit out and just let that gem accumulate, because that's the only way that I can get everything back. Now, I may try to go for this, which would typically need to be done with this Thor's hammer. Now, for this shot to work, I know that I need to go at least 2 backspin to stop this thing. So maybe just going to try just a little bit more than 2. I want to make sure that I do clear the bunker. I'm not going to have much curl on this club early on in the game. So I do want to make sure that I clear the bunker foremost. So even if that means that I go long into the rough, I'd rather it be over the bunker, kind of close. 2-3 backspin is kind of the minimum that I'm going to need. And you can see it barely stopped short. My opponent may have to make this because I'm going to have a very good short shot here. So let's see if he's able to roll this one in. It looks like he did. So we are probably going to shoot out. I don't expect to miss this. I do still have my down and 1 on. So, I expect the, to be in here tight enough that a dunk is going to be very, very easy. You can see even with a great ball, I should still easily get this one into the pin here. So no real problem there. Opponent called a pretty lucky break there, because with that miscue off the tee, if he would have got just a little bit tougher wind, he might have not been able to make it to shootout with a tougher wind. Oh, wow, I put the wrong bag on. Look at that. So I have the wrong bag on accident, so we're going to have to play this with the long iron here. So I'm going to play this maybe about 3 on the top spin here. Try to land somewhere up in here. Play pretty close to my max ring number. Just a little bit more than 3 rings with the wind effect. Got my perfect ball. And let's see how I get this to roll out. It's rolling through. So a bad break there. It didn't take the check bounce. So you're going to see it on the back fringe. I'm probably going to end up losing this because of that shot. So a really bad break there with the roll through bounce. And that's one of the main reasons that I do like to play the Guardian. I would have liked to have had this. This is the shot that I would have played. And I'm probably going to lose this match because I'm not able to play it. But this actually can roll through as well if you're not careful. But, much less likely to have happen. So you can see opponent puts it in there nice. I really called a bad break there because I didn't get that check-up bounce. And that's one of the main reasons that I don't like to play that shot coming through like that, is because you really can't predict the rollout quite as much. And I didn't get the nice break where that bounce checked up. So I wasn't able to win. But, I got to make sure in the future that I put on the right bag, because if we would have came up and we would have both had the Guardians, there's a good chance that I would have been able to win that one. So opponent really kind of ended up stealing one by a mistake on my behalf. And also, as I mentioned, with his miscue off the tee there, he needed that eagle just to force shootout with me, and then I gave it to him by putting the wrong bag on accident. So I cost myself one there on accident. But that's okay. You know, we don't need to win them all. Keep in mind, though, you know, the more that you win, the faster you close tours down. So, you know, every game I lose like that, you know, it takes 2 more games to get back up to that, to where you would have been with a win. So it does kind of slow your progress down. So I am on bag 1 now. You can see distance is going to be just a little bit more of a premium here. I don't think I can land this on the fairway. I'm almost positive of that. So all I'm going to try to do is just get this up here as far as possible, and we'll go at it with a long iron into the green. Opponent has a slight advantage by being up here just a little bit closer. And another very small wind. You can see a lot of opportunity in this tour. You know, they give you a lot of chances with some small wins from time to time. You know, I just as easily could have, you know, had a bunch of eagles so far, 3, 4. But there's no reason that you know, you can't really kind of close out and get a lot of shots to drop from time to time. So let's see how this rolls out. Just misses. So I am definitely fortunate. Opponent can't get them to drop either. You kind of end up, you know, dodging some bullets a little bit in these early levels. So not really sure how this one's going to come in too much. A couple things can happen. I'm going to try to land right around here. It's close to just a little bit more than a ring here. It should be. Right around here. Perfect ball. And sure enough, there it is, finally. Finally able to get this one. Feel like with as many easy wins as we've had, you know, really unlikely that I was going to miss all those. Now I am going to gem some of these. You can see I need at least three more. And look at that, I got some sniper, 21 snipers. So, you know, that's going to progress rather rapidly. You can see probably got to get it maybe in 6 more chests or so, give or take, to get to the next level. We also got to get our trophy count up. So once we get to 23-ish hundred, we'll be able to get it in the nightly resets. So I am kind of a long way off of that because I'm not really tour grinding. So with me taking things very slow, it is going to take just a little bit. But if you wanted to kind of press yourself, get yourself up to that 2300 mark, you could be getting it in the shop on a nightly basis. But, you know, at the same time, I don't want to spend too many gems. So with this hole, I am going to keep a Titan ball on. Biggest reason being is for the approach. So what I'm going to try to do is land around here with pretty much as much curl as I can. And as I mentioned, you know, pretty much doing this for the, you know, putting that Titan on for my approach shot. It is going to be just a little bit tougher with a Guardian, but I really want to kind of force my hand a little bit just to, make my path that much easier come shootout time. It's going to make this whole play definitely tougher. But especially with my opponent trying to go extra mile here, there's a good chance that he doesn't pull this off and does an eagle. So you can see there it catches the bunker. So I may be able to win this one outright and avoid shootout altogether. And that's brought to you as a possibility just by, keeping this Titan on. And you'll see I'm going to just try to, probably go pretty close to max here. I'm thinking somewhere around 3 rings. Very close to max, so you can see with what I'm doing with my power. Didn't want that great ball. Hopefully it doesn't clip the tree. Yeah, it looks okay. So as long as it checks up here, we should be good. And sure enough, there it is. Right on the edge, we got the down and one. It's going to be essentially guaranteed that we make the next shot. So it would also be nice to unlock Endbringer as well. And you'll see that clubs are just a little bit tougher to unlock until you get to that magic number. There's a chance that I can get Endbringer or Apocalypse to unlock in a silver, in a free. But that number doesn't statistically become more likely until we get closer to that, if I get to that 2,300 mark, for instance, the percentage chance goes up that I'll be able to, oh, wow. What in the world was that? I have no idea what I just did and how I missed that. Literally just threw away that shot. I don't even know what I was thinking. In any regard, I'm going to need to be just a little bit more careful because I, essentially just gave my opponent a shootout, which is potentially going to lead to, me losing a hole when I had a clear win here. But the thing that I was talking about that got me distracted and made me miss that is getting to that 2,300 mark or getting to that 3,900. As soon as you hit those marks for trophy count, it comes more likely that you'll be able to get those unlocks to happen. I can gem all the chests that I want in kind of this lower trophy count range, and statistically, I'm not going to be as likely to get them. So not sure what I was thinking. I was a little too cavalier with my shot attempt. And something that I definitely shouldn't have done, to say the least. So we'll see if I can recover here. Another great ball on this hole. So a little bit off to the side would have been a better shot had I got my perfect. just too far. Look at that. So it looks like opponent, you know, doesn't play the wind and just tries to use power and curl instead to kind of, you know, it's something you can do, but it's very tough to pull off. You'd see fortunate enough, I'm able to hang on. I've caught great ball on that hole twice though. So there's some razors. We can use that. And just reset my ball. So what that typically does, I like to do that at least when I'm consciously thinking about it, just in case I get to the tee and, you know, don't think about my ball and don't switch off a Titan and don't need one, for example. I like to at least go to a more regular ball just in case. But I think I'm going to use one here. This is going to be a tricky shot, let me tell you. Not looking forward to this one. So foremost here, we want to make sure that we bring the accuracy. So I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of 3-ish rings. A little bit of overpower. I'm going to just try to kind of gently get this into the fairway. I didn't catch my perfect. So with not getting the perfect, this may leak just a little bit too much and not roll up. Nope, we're still okay. So all I'm trying to do is get it to the fairway and just get to the green. That's one of the main reasons that I'm bringing the Titan, to make sure that I do get to the green. You can see opponent has a POC 2 already, 47% with 1,800 games in. Not sure how they got their Apocalypse unlock. I'm assuming it revolves around spending money. They've only played rookie, and it's unlikely that they only got four cards. I would imagine they probably got it via the golden shot somehow. So just rolls it up into the fairway here and just hangs on. You do have to be just a little bit cautious on that left-hand side. But you can see that they did just pull that off. And what I'm going to try to do is just a little bit of right spin here. It looks like I'm going to have to go relatively full on my power, almost. So I'm thinking somewhere around 3 rings here. Better to be late on my timing there and block it over here to the left so I don't clip that fairway. I'm going to be a lot more careful in this dunk attempt. I would have never guessed in a million years that I was going to miss that. So I'm assuming I was way too cavalier with my aim on the last one. And something like that, whether you get distracted, I feel like, it was mainly just me talking and not even thinking about the shot. So, but that is something that, you want to avoid from happening. You don't want to throw away a game because of a dumb mistake like that. Ooh, that's a huge wind. So that's a rather large wind. I would assume that, typically I don't have to aim off the cup, but I think, I'm going to need to play off the edge just a little bit here. So you can see right outside the cup is where I have it. Other than that, I'm going to try to be very, very centered with my ball here. Perfect ball. and right into the cup. So you can see distance plus how high that wind was, 8.4. You do need to start to play a little bit of that wind from that range. I think that was probably about 15-ish yards. You can count green grids if you want. That also is a nice trick for you to get kind of an idea as to how many. I'm assuming it was about a 2-ring play. I think you have to play almost 2 rings there. Because I was probably almost that quarter club. Wow, this is a popular hole. And it's also popular that I get to go first every time we play it. Jeez. I'm going to put about 3-ish rings into the sand here. Finally a perfect ball on this one. And of course it rolls through. What a bad break. So I didn't get the checkup bounce that time. So you can see it rolls through to 3.5 yards. Very tough to do this one with a Goliath into the wind. But possible. It is possible. May not be enough power though. I think he's probably going to need a little bit more than that. But we'll see. Yep, sure enough, there it is. Clips the rough edge. So able to pick up another one. Very tricky shot there. So one more match we got to play here. Claw cards. Of course, we're picking up 100K per win as well. Financially, I'm getting to the point where, I'm almost ready for Tour 8. I have enough gems, enough coins to confidently go into 8. But of course, we're going to continue to wait it out here. We are going to use the Titan again. Very similar to what I did last time. So all I'm going to try to do here is land about here. And we're going to need some power this time. We do want to get that nice roll out. Just a little bit more power would have been ideal, but we should be okay. Hopefully we can get to the green from 2. I have a couple of those, but I've been saving on to them. And that's an aggressive line. So we've got to be careful, especially not the great ball to the left here. The opponent does catch perfect. Still caught the tree. Pretty aggressive line there. A little bit more so than I would probably ever consider playing it. So I may start to crank up the backspin just a little bit. I always play away from the hole, so you're going to see that I'm just going to kind of aim over here, kind of intentionally. Just a little bit of curl. And pop it right up onto the green. Should have a easy eagle here. So a lot of times you can win this one with an eagle, especially in the early going. This is a very hard hole for people to play until they master the game. It's a very tricky hole. So you can see that, especially in the early going, down around the 12, 1300, 14, 1500 trophy count range, this is definitely going to be a hard hole for players. You can see if I would have got both my eagles, I would have avoided shootout altogether on this one. But, this is something that can be taught, and, people that check out my channel or, watch other people play, you can see that, there's a good strategy for getting through there. Quarterback and rock. That's a fair amount of rock cards. So, rock's making some progress. We're getting up there in trophies. I think we added about 100 today. 100 and some, 100 and change. We lost one match, something that could have been avoided. But if you want to see kind of where we're at, where we ended up, 266 out of 286, it's not bad. We can just kind of keep progressing along here and, adding on trophies as we can. I'm going to keep going with this account. I don't know how much longer, but, the biggest thing and biggest goal that I've been trying to basically do for this account is to show you guys that A, you don't need to spend money. You don't have to give them anything. And you can still build a respectable account. Also, you're not going to, despite what people say about how, they get all these bad breaks or, the matches that they get are unfair. That's why I'm recording every match, to just show you that I've never seen any evidence of that whatsoever. So anybody who says that, this game is rigged, I think it's actually rigged possibly in the opposite way. Instead of them making it less fair for you guys, they make the game too fair. And that's to keep players into the game. So they try to basically make sure that you don't go on these big losing streaks. So, to hear people sit and say that the game is rigged unfavorably to them, I'm telling you, there's no evidence I've ever seen. You don't have to pay to win. As you can see, it's just kind of a slower process. I put myself in a position that I could have bannered on my first pro tournament there. And I imagine, one or two more, this next tournament coming up, could be the one that I win. It's really going to be about the setup. I think that last setup wasn't as favorable for the clubs that I have. And I do think this next one is going to be just a little bit more favorable. And what I'm hoping, I can't tell if I'm going to make it there, but I do believe probably maybe by the weekend round that I'll have a Sniper 7. And once I get to Sniper 7, I do believe that ball guide goes up to 4.5. And it's something that I'll be able to use in the next tournament because I don't think that I'll need too much backspin. It's not a very aggressive setup. So for the most part, 4 bars isn't going to actually kill me a lot on that course from the holes that I've seen set up. So there's going to be a good chance that, if I can bring Sniper, if I get it up to a 7, which I do believe, I'm only 120 cards away from there. I'm going to be bulk opening all chests. So if I'm winning my matches in my qualifier, if I'm winning in my opener, come weekend time, I do expect to, for sure, probably have that Sniper. And who's to say what I'm going to get in those chests that, the free chests since then, and what I just, there's 4 chests in my inventory there that I still need to open up here. So, just keep all that in mind. Good luck with your progress, and be on the lookout for future videos like this to come. I don't know how much farther I'm going to go with this account, but I do imagine that, I'll probably at least go into tour 9, somewhere in tour 9, which is actually a pretty easy tour as well. I usually can get through that. I find 9 to be one of the easier tours. 7 and 9, I think, are pretty easy. 8 can get just a little bit tricky at times. It's all about the shootouts more so than anything. It's a tour that kind of requires just a little bit more backspin from time to time, and I really like to have kind of my sniper to an 8 for tour 8, but that's not going to happen. So I'll probably have to, definitely stick with Guardian for sure. But the guys who have Guardian, especially if it's up to a 6, I think when it goes to a full backspin, there's a lot of really good creative shots that you can hit on the shootouts with a Guardian with full backspin. So it does give you a nice edge over the opponents that aren't using that. And another thing that's nice is, when you match up with guys like Sniper, it's almost more favorable for you to actually hit that other shot and have those club differences so you don't get shot copied. So you can basically do a shot that they can't even do. And so a lot of times I'll just try to, as much as I can, use full backspin on the shootout because I know that they can't. So it's something to be thinking about, especially if you want to, keep from being shot copied. And we're not too far off from there. But you can also see that my progress is going to be rather slow because I'm kind of only doing a couple matches a week. I'm really drawing it out because I don't want my gem balance to run out, but I do want to bulk open a lot of these chests because mainly for club progression. So another thing that I could do is I could bulk through. I could basically close this tour this week if I wanted to. It would really deplete my gem balance because I do want to. Like I mentioned, I do want to right now be bulk opening those. So with that strategy in mind, just keep in mind that it's making me play at a slower pace because I got to get those gems back up so I can continue to gem all these as I can, accelerate my clubs in the best way. The only other good thing that we're going to be able to do is put together good tournaments. So you want to focus on those top 10s. I don't have anything outside of top 10 yet. So if I can always play in the top 10 and the more tournaments that come around, we're going to get those clubs up. It's going to happen. So we just need to basically, just hang in there and, do what you guys can. So, keep that in mind and good luck out there and take care, guys. I'll see you guys on the next one.